Hi VC, Muley Chris here, looking to try and run through a whole load of new arrivals that have come through recently. I'm going to break these down into 2 or 3 different videos, largely based on where I bought them, if not necessarily when. All of these have been bought since the summer of last year and just not got around to showing them yet. So I'm going to start things off with a selection of stuff that was bought at a local record store. I've mentioned it before, and I've said that the quality's not been great, and it's still not brilliant, but if you spend some time and hunt around, you can find some things that are worthwhile picking up. Post-Christmas, the guy had a bit of a sale going on, so he's getting rid of a lot of stock at £3 a piece. I just had to go for it. So these are kind of what I picked up since Christmas. Bit of a mixed bag, but that's kind of usual for me. So we'll start things off with Alden, Muller, Land of the Midnight Sun. I know it says a £5 on there, but trust me, I only paid £3 for it. Now, this is the first Alden Muller album I own. Now, I was aware that he was in Chick Corea's Return to Forever, but again, never heard any of that. I know it's sort of jazz, fusion-y guitar stuff, which I'll quite happily give a listen to. Chick Corea appears on this album, as is people like Jack Pastorius, Mingo Lewis, Barry Miles, Steve Gadd. So I will give that a try. I like a bit of guitar music, so we'll see what that's like. I've heard good things about this chap, so £3, nothing to lose. This next one was bought purely on spec, and this is Ananta, Night and Daydream. It's a special promotional copy. On the back it says, for their inspiration and help with our worldwide projects, special thanks to Carl Santana, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Neil Diamond, Stevie Wonder and Bob Marley. None of whom have got anything to do with this. This is bloody weird. I've tried to do some reading up about this, and apparently it was some sort of record put out to promote some sort of Indian guru or something like that, and that kind of thing. It's kind of light proggy stuff in the, I kind of guess in the vein of something like Bartley James Harvest. It's not full-blown prog by any stretch of the imagination. It's on Touchstone Round Records, and it's in great nick. Like I say, you've got to really work your way through this chap's stock. He's got some great stuff in, if it was in decent nick. Unfortunately, most of it isn't. But anyway, total spec buy, never heard of it before, but picked it up, and it's alright. It's alright. There you go. Next one is the Cars, Heartbeat City. Again, £3, and it's in really quite good nick. Probably best known for the track Drive, which was big at the time of Live Aid. In fact, looking at this, Drive is probably the only track I'm aware of. I mean, Cars are one of those bands that I've kind of known about and heard bits and pieces from, and I probably recognise more stuff than I care to mention, but this is only one of 2 albums I own by them. Was produced by Muller, and this is the album that he was working on when he told Def Leppard he couldn't help them out with Hysteria. But that took so long to produce that by the time he'd finished that, Hysteria was struggling with, I can't remember who picked up Hysteria. It's in here somewhere. But anyway, that was the album he was held up on at the time. Next up, Greenslade. This is Spyglass Guest. This is their third album from 1974. And it's got a little bit more edge than the first two albums. I mean, it's still keyboard dominated. It's got two keyboardists in here, but they've got the chap out of Humble Pie whose name totally eludes me at this present moment in time to play guitar on this. Clemson? I'm going to say. Yeah, Clemson. But it's great. I mean, I love this sort of very English prog, but with a little bit more edge than their first two albums. There you go. Bit of blues. Jeff Healey Band, See the Light. Yeah, this was Jeff's debut album, came out in the late 80s, probably, I'm going to say 88. Jeff Healey was Canadian, blind. He had a retinoblastoma as a child and subsequently died of a sarcoma in his early 40s. They were also the house band in the Patrick Swayze movie Roadhouse. Really good blues stuff, really enjoyed that. It was unusual in that he played it, I think it was a Strat, but he played it flat on his lap. Really good stuff. Next, an album I used to own, but can't for the life of me find anywhere. This is Candace in the Spirit of Things. This is the second album they recorded with Steve Morse. Brilliant guitarist. This is a little bit of a concept album. Again, this came out in the late 80s, I'm going to say 88 again. Can't see, but I'm pretty sure it's 88. It's about a small town in the sort of Midwest of America who's suffering from a drought, and about a sort of snake oil salesman who comes to sell them weather. I love the album. I think it's really good. Track Rainmaker is excellent. The Preacher's really good. Teal Witcher, yeah, really good. Really good. Really good album. I've got a number of albums that I know I've owned in the past that I can't find at the moment, and they're around about that sort of KJ area. So there's a couple of Priest albums that I know I've had but I can't find. There's a couple of Jethro Tull albums I know I've had but I can't find. And it's bugging the living crap out of me. I don't know what's happened to them. But anyway. Next up was some Nils Lofgren. And this is Night Fade Away. It's a really good album. I mean, I love Nils Lofgren. Nils sort of replaced Stephen Van Zandt in the E Street Band in the sort of mid-80s. And I think it's probably been there ever since. This is one of his albums from the early 80s. It's 1981. Seventh solo album by this point. And he's one of these underrated artists. I can listen to Nils Lofgren for hours and hours. Really good stuff. Another Nils A Rhythm Romance. This is a compilation from the following year, 1982, and just as a really good selection of stuff from his collection. Got some Nils playing in the background as well. Then we've got the Outlaws' first album. I mean, this is sort of southern rock, come country rock, come blues. Yeah, Greengrass High Tides, which is the last track on this album, is brilliant as one of the sort of best guitar solos that the ever been in this sort of style of music. Huey Thomason, who was one of the sort of guitarists on here, and still plays with the Outlaws on gigs and stuff like that, is current member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And Henry Paul went on to form, I'm going to say, Blackwing or Blackhawk. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, it's another sort of country rock band, but more in that sort of late 80s, early 90s country style. You got the Outlaws. Really good. This is their debut album. And pick this up. This is called Schizophrenia. And it was an album that was released via Sounds magazine. Sounds magazine was one of kind of three main music papers, weekly news music papers in the UK back in the sort of 70s and 80s. There was Sounds, there was New Musical Express, and there was Melody Maker. Sounds released a whole load of sort of compilation discs, and their break-off magazine, Kerrang, still goes today, whereas Sounds is long gone. Anyway, this is a bit of a strange compilation. First half is a bit sort of AOR rocky, so you've got Loverboy, Hughes and Thrall, Aerosmith, Saga, and Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. Then the next side is meant to be sort of more of a new wavy post-punk, some reggae, apart from the last track, which is Fastway, which is obviously should have been on the other side. But again, for £3, it's a really good comp. So I've enjoyed listening to that. And finally, a bit of hair metal for everybody. This is Shy, Excess All Areas. And I think this was their third album. It's the only one I've got. I picked this up because I did recognise track Break Down the Walls, which I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure was on a flexi disc that came out on a Kerrang magazine that I've got tucked away somewhere. I could be mistaken, but Break Down the Walls rings a bell in that regard. But anyway, for £3, I thought I'd pick it up. It's just on RCA. I'm not sure if it ever came with an insert or anything like that. But there you go. Just a bit of a sort of mixed bag. £3 a piece. Wasn't going to argue. I don't really know much about many of them. So the likes of Alden, Muller, we'll see. I've got the Outlaws on CD, and I've got a couple of the other ones, a couple of the Nils Lofgren things on CD. But looking forward to giving them a thorough listen. I've dipped into one or two of them already, but not given them a thorough playing yet. So we'll see what's what with that. Okay, I'll be back with more later on in the week, I think. Okay, see you, VC.